Hey, me again, back for more hypnosis for permanent weight loss. We're going to talk about people pleasing and stress eating. Should be a pretty quick one. Should be a pretty quick one, though it could be complex. It could be as complex or as. Okay, so earlier I had recorded a podcast on taking things personally. I also did a podcast on um, toxic relationships, narcissistic abuse kind of stuff, and how that affects our nervous system. So, with that, okay, if you were someone who experienced any of that kind of stuff, or you take things personally, right, for one reason or another, you haven't, had that part of your healing path happen yet, then you may have become a people pleaser to avoid getting into trouble, to avoid anyone yelling at you, right, to avoid all these things, these painful emotions and feelings. So innocent, right? Like that is what our unconscious minds do. It wants us to not feel, have negative things happen. Okay. And so it kind of takes in these different things that look like possible abandonment of love or abandonment um, in general, so that you're isolated, right? To be like separated from the pack, because we have these very animalistic minds. So you will, as a child, conform to become whatever way is going to make sure that you stay alive. And so staying connected and having your parents become happy is a way to stay alive, right? To be a good girl, to be a good little boy, to not make a mess, to not make a mistake, to get good grades, et cetera, et cetera. And so therefore you might have become a people pleaser. And especially as girls, I think I heard, I can't remember the actual research study that I did, but with school, okay, it's like the child learns also how to please the teacher so that they get good grades, right? I know for myself, I feel like I was very good at understanding like each teacher and what they required. And I just like met that, right? So it's like, again, became an amazing people pleaser, right? But like did not know how to set boundaries for myself, did not know how to know my truth, didn't know how to communicate properly because you're still growing up as a kid. And so you just do whatever it takes to not get into trouble. I went to Catholic school, so a fair amount of, like kind of, I don't know, failure mentality or making mistakes is horrible mentality going on there from several teachers, I would say. Okay. Good and bad at the same time. It's made me very, able to, succeed in this world. And it's also caused a lot of pain, like with my narcissistic episode, with my taking things personally stuff, right? Those things, right? That's the part that's yet to be healed. So always good and bad or positive and everything that's happening. And we're always on the pathway to growth and to learn. So, yeah, so that's how we become people pleasers, pretty much always. And so the opportunity then becomes, how do I actually feel my negative feelings, right? Get like better coping mechanisms. How do I understand like what's in my shadow, like what inner work I need to do, like what awareness I need to become aware of in order to become free, like we were talking about in a previous podcast. And yeah, and being able to actually like set boundaries, like I said, and communicate in a different way so that you're like, you can still be a kind person. You can still like use your people pleasing things to like authentically be in the world, and you're not a doormat, right? And you're not completely, yeah, letting yourself be pummeled. Okay. So it's a lot, right? It's everything that we teach in hypnosis for permanent weight loss, because it's a big deal. And so many people deal with it. Okay. Stress eating obviously is something else that's going to happen when we're people pleasing, because every time we abandon ourselves and every time you abandon your truth and you just say yes when you want to say no, and you're just always that person that's going to be there, you're going to take care of your parents to their last day, you're going to, right, like do everything for your children, you're going to say yes every time work needs you to come in and work, right? It's just like not saying no. It creates this mini psychosis in our bodies when you abandon yourself, right? And then it ends up creating stressful eating habits, right? So, and just stress eating in general, it's just like all of it is avoiding bad feelings, regardless. Like if we're going to put a highest umbrella on all of it, okay, it's just like it's all happening because we're trying not to feel negative feelings and have negative thoughts that cause negative feelings. So we got to work on the negative feelings. We got to work on the negative thoughts. So then you don't have the bad feelings and then you don't eat. It's just very simple. It's just very simple, right? And lots of diets will be like, okay, stress eating, like punch a punching bag, which is great. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like stress eating, like distract yourself by calling a friend. But what's the difference is that those things that they give you, right, to get rid of the stress eating is just putting a band-aid on, because you're going to do that thing, but you're not actually going to get to the source of where it's coming from, right? It's just like a way, oh, this is what I actually meant to say. Delete what I just said. There's always the like, so that you will lose weight, like the attachment, right? Of being like you need to do this so that you don't eat that cheesecake, right? Like as a way to hold on tightly to the steering wheel, right? And like white knuckle it all the time. It's just like quick, distract yourself. Like this, here comes a craving. It's like a contraction in a birth, right? Just like, here it comes. Oh my God, like something to be terrified of. At least that's how it was for me. It's just like, it's a craving, like, oh my God, what am I going to do to make sure that I don't eat today? Right? Like, oh my God, like phone a friend, blah, blah, blah. Like it's this like emergency, right? And in reality, it's just like, oh, like, I wonder where this craving's coming from. Like, oh, like maybe I'm feeling a little like this. Like, what's the way that I want to deal with that? Like, what would feel the best? Like I could eat food, or like maybe it would feel really like, it's just about like, goal is how can I just feel better in this moment today now, right? It's just like, that's it. Like if you make your whole life about just like, how can I feel better now versus like stress eating is bad, right? Like as soon as you just call stress eating bad, then it's like, oh God, like I'm stress eating again, versus like, maybe I just need to learn better ways to deal with stress. It's literally how simple that is, right? Like maybe I just don't understand my stress that like well enough, right? But you see what I mean? Like as soon as it's immediately associated just with like a way to put a band-aid on to prevent yourself from gaining weight and eating any food in this moment, it's like that's surface, like it's true, but like unless you actually get like, why am I stressed? Right? Like, is there someone in my life that's stressing me out? Am I unhappy about something? Am I covering up sadness or grief or anger, fear? Right? Like, do I not like my job anymore? Am I unhappy in this relationship? Right? It's like, where's that stress coming from? And then learning how to actually feel through your feelings. Like the only way through a feeling is to feel it. Right. And like, it's too scary before you know how to do it on your own. I needed help. Okay. And so actually like just, yeah, learning how to process your feelings and get rid of that. And then the craving goes away. The stress eating stops as much because you're just becoming a more resourced human being. That's just like, I know how to take great care of myself. And sometimes taking great care of yourself is eating food for comfort, in my opinion. Sometimes there's nothing like that, but now it's just like that's one option out of many, right? In the Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss program, we have people create different ways that they would feel so that they love, just like a joy wheel of what do they absolutely love, and then using that to kind of orchestrate, what are the options when I feel stressed out for how I want to just like, not because it's going to stop a craving, but because it's like just gonna take me out of like pizza is the answer, just focus tunnel vision, or like cookies are the answer, cake is the answer, ice cream is the answer, right? I know what that feels like to just only have tunnel vision for those foods versus these are all my options. So hope that's helpful if you're a people pleaser, if you're a stress eater, and we'll see you for the next one.